a 2026 7th-round pick to acquire the Dolphins safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's just coming down. It'll be a 3-year, $40 million deal. So more talk about the Dolphins coming here. But let's focus on the Jets side of things right here. Getting Minkah Fitzpatrick, Logan, how do you like that move?
I'm happy for Minkah. Got more money. Minkah's a great player, has been a great player for quite some time. I mean, the Dolphins getting rid of everybody right now. It's fire sale over there. I see how they're doing business right now. They're getting rid of all their guys. But Minkah has been a leader and been a high-level safety for a very long time. You're going to start getting to age. How much does he have left? But I know that Minkah knows how to find the football, right? Obviously, that situation in Miami wasn't good for any player. When I look at an entire team struggling at every position, I can't put that on the player. I can't say Waddle had a down year, Tyreek had a down year, Tua had a down year, Minkah had a down year. No, that's on the coaching. When every player has a down year, that's on the coaching. So now what can Minkah do on this Jets team? Now they need to have an up year. Aaron Glenn needs to get an interception. He didn't have any last year. Hopefully Minkah can do that, but obviously he's got to bring in some pieces to New York. I think Minkah's the start of it.
Certainly making a change in the familiarity, probably helping to bring over Fitzpatrick because the new Jets defensive coordinator Brian Duker was over there in Miami with Fitzpatrick. You see this move here. How do you feel about the Jets just in general and their attempts to improve from what they did last year, Ben?
Yeah, I think they got to start somewhere. For Aaron Glenn, defensive coach, defensive mind, you go get a leader, a communicator on that side of the ball, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, a guy who has produced, has been around the NFL for a while, has worn the captain's C on his chest, on his jersey, a guy that you bring in and can really be a centerpiece, a sounding board for guys on that defense. And I don't know. I watched a video a couple weeks ago of Logan Ryan playing some flag football, some safety. We're not too far down the road. I'm looking over to see if his phone's ringing over here.
That's not ringing. If you watch that whole video, my phone is maybe Muhammad Sanu's. Mine is not ringing. But I'll make a guarantee here, first guarantee of the day.
Okay.
I guarantee the Jets get an interception this year.
Okay.
They got to at least get one interception this year. And when you bring a guy like Minkah over, though, he's teaching the system. Because when you have a lot of change and turnover with coordinators and head coaches, which we've seen an unprecedented amount. We have 10 new head coaches. That has not been done in a long time. They're going to bring a lot of new players. They're going to get a lot of players from the previous team. So you're going to see a lot of movement. And you got to teach a new system, right? So the Jets got to learn a new defense. Who better to teach it than Minkah, who's been in the previous defense? So you kind of need that because you need somebody. You need a Rajon Rondo. You need a Chris Paul out there. It might be an older point guard. But you need someone to sit there and teach that system.
But those are greats. You know, Rajon Rondo,
he's a top flag football player.
He won rings.
He's a top flag. Yeah. He might have him beat in flag football.
I think he's the number one QB out there.
Well,
they say right now in flag football.
Malik Willis, too. Let's get rid of Rondo.
I've still got you at the very top. I need you, Logan, to put on your professor hat for me right here and grade the trade.
Grades.
It's just a 7th-round pick. Yeah. And it's Minkah Fitzpatrick, a swap there. What grade are you giving that?
I mean, for a 7th round, right, to me that says they're probably going to cut Minkah, but the Jets wanted to make sure they can get him first. So they traded a 7th. Look, there are some great 7th-round picks in the NFL history.
Hey.
Ben DiNucci, right, working right alongside me right now. So, but there's some great players there in the 7th round. But I think for a Minkah Fitzpatrick to teach that system, I'm going to give the Jets a B+ on that one. I'm going to give them a B+ on that one. Miami's doing a fire sale right now. I'm going to give them a C. They're moving on from everybody, but I'm going to give the Jets a B+ on this.
So do you want to give a grade or do you want to touch on the next breaking news that we have this around the Cowboys?
Let's just keep it rolling.
We've got things rolling. The new thing, the Packers are finalizing a deal that would send Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys in exchange for a late 2027 draft pick. That's per ESPN. You go, wow, why is that?
There's your splash move we were talking about. We were looking for a guy, hey, no Max Crosby. All right, boom, the Cowboys go and get Rashawn Gary from the Packers, a guy who has done nothing but produce and be an anchor for that D-line, for that front seven. I like the move. That anchors, that sets up that D-line well in Dallas with Rashawn Gary now and Oso Odighizuwa.
And I look at with Quinnen Williams, right? That was a big piece in the trade last year. Is they got Quinnen Williams and they got capital to make moves this year. They didn't have to pay Micah, and they got draft capital to move these picks to get guys like this. So does that get them out of the Trey Henderson race, or do they still try to get a top edge rusher to pair with Rashawn Gary and Quinnen Williams? Now you have a scary defensive line, and that's what the Cowboys need. So this is going to be very interesting how they handle free agency after this.
Yeah.
But I love the Rashawn Gary move.
So you had the 3-piece suit that you wanted the Cowboys to go after. Does this now affect how you think they should build the team now?
It's going to see on the money, right? I would still pursue the top edge rusher. I would, if I'm Dallas and I know I have Dak, right? And I have these good receivers with Dak. You got to give Dak help now. I see what the Eagles have done. I see what these teams have done, especially in your division. I don't think the Commanders are going away. I think they're going to be better. They were banged up last year. And the Giants have to be better. I think the Giants eventually have to be better. So at that point, Dallas, you can't just keep sitting there and not get NFC Championship games. You have to do something about it. I think Robert Kraft spending so much money last year on the Patriots might have rubbed off on Jerry Jones in a sense, say, hey, this is what we have to do. We have to spend money on the defense. We can't keep making Dak do it all by himself. So why not still pursue the top edge rusher on top of it?
Professor DiNucci, it is your turn to step to the front of the class. We had Logan give a grade earlier. Now you grade this trade of the Cowboys bringing in Rashawn Gary.
I'm gonna give it a B+. And I look at the investment on the defensive line, and I think that's a direct reflection of what else is going on in this division. You've got Jackson Dart, you've got Jalen Hurts, you've got Jaden Daniels, mobile quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, game-breaking quarterbacks. The Cowboys are going to have to stop these guys for the next couple of years. So what better way to do it? Go bolster the D-line. If you can't stop the run in the NFL, it's hard to win games, late in the season. We just saw what happened with Seattle winning the Super Bowl in that defense, so I like this move from the Cowboys.
Nice having y'all right here on set when the breaking news comes down, and it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to tackle things and not to call someone up. Ben DiNucci and Logan Ryan, thank you so much. We'll be seeing y'all throughout the morning here on HQ. And of course, this all news is coming as the negotiating window for free agents, $55 million over the cap before restructuring. They right now are under the salary cap. All that money talk can get confusing. It's not confusing at all when you see Logan and Ben still tapped in here with us. And Ben, I don't really like the X's and O's from a math standpoint of things. I like getting down to the football standpoint of all this. You see Dallas, you see the roster, you know that franchise. Where do they go now since they were not able to trade for Crosby?
Well, first things first. Like, when I see they wanted to trade for Max Crosby and made a run at him, it just makes me laugh. It was probably this time last year when we were talking about Micah Parsons and is he going to be traded? You just had one of the best pass rushers in all of the National Football League in your building. You traded him before the season last year, and now all of a sudden your defense wasn't good and you want to go get another pass rusher. So I'm scratching my head a little bit. I understand Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, two totally different players. Credit Jerry Jones, credit that organization, that front office for trying to go make a splash early in free agency and trying to get him. Obviously didn't work. The Cowboys are going to have to regroup. There's some other names that are out there, a Trey Hendrickson, a Cam Jordan, who might still have some tread left on the tires. But for the Cowboys, the defense was the Achilles heel for this team last year. And so when you look at this free agent list, they're going to have to figure out, hey, do we want to go get a guy in free agency? Do we want to go get a guy in the draft? A combination of both. So the Cowboys, a lot of questions probably to be answered right now, but let one probably slip through the cracks with Max Crosby.
Well, I'll tell you, you're going to start on defense. They better stay on defense from the free agency and through the draft. That's what the Cowboys need. It's going to start with the top guy on the list, in my opinion. Trey Hendrickson, perfect fit. Jerry wants to spend that money on that guy. It's a good investment. All he does is get sacks, right? He's a great team player. He loves football. He's not the flashiest. He's not as flashy as these other top rushers, but he's consistent. He's up there in that conversation with Micah Parsons and the great rushers, Myles Garrett as well, in terms of production. Number 2, go get Nakobe Dean, the linebacker. Why? Christian Parker, the defensive coordinator, came over from the Eagles. You got to run the Eagles defensive system. Go get the middle linebacker from the Eagles that runs that system. That's the thing. And then my third guy, we got D-line, we got linebacker, the third level DBs. I love Alontae Taylor. He reminds me a lot of myself. He's a multi-versatile DB, a nickel player, can play outside, can play inside. He's a playmaker. I think they need to splash in free agency more than they ever have. Get 3 top guys in free agency, right? But like, there's other linebackers, but Nakobe Dean, I think, is a good fit. Alontae Taylor's not going to be the highest paid DB in this free agency, but he's super underrated. I really like his game. I recalled the Saints game this year. I really broke him down and really like him. And I think you got to get the number 1 guy on the board, and that's Trey Hendrickson.
How do you feel about that? A 3-4 right there, coming from Logan.
I'm all for it. I mean, you look at the Cowboys and what they did last year. Offense and defense were like 2 totally different sides of the coin. The offense, one of the top 5 in the league. Defense, one of the bottom 5 in the league. So they restructured a bunch of those contracts for a reason. Dak, CD, Tyler Smith. Obviously, they have something in mind here. Jerry kind of always says it, kind of always gets the people going in Dallas down there this time of year saying, hey, we're going to make a splash, we're going to spend some money. So let's see if he puts his money where his mouth is this year and goes and makes a splash on that side of the ball.
Are you worried at all, Trey Hendrickson coming off of an injury-riddled year, to pay him however much to make him that top free agent?
Not at all, because Trey Hendrickson's got high character. He loves football. Injuries happen. They happen, but Cincinnati has drug him through the mud in contract situations for the last 2 years. I don't know how much I would want to play for an organization that continues to make me prove it and earn it and franchise me and sign a one-year deal. Remember, he held out all the way through training camp last year to sign a one-year deal with Cincy, and it still wasn't enough based on the piece they had around him. And I will say this real quick, and Ben knows. I don't know the rule in Dallas, but I know the rule in the NFL is rule number one is you want to win your division, right? You got to win your division first. And I'm assuming Dallas probably says that as their number one goal. And when I look at that division, it's the Eagles right now, right? And the Eagles have spent money. The Eagles have stars on both sides of the ball. When I look at a New England Patriots, an organization that I'm familiar with, they spent a lot of money last free agency, and that got them to the Super Bowl. So you have to spend money. You have to bring in these star players at key positions on both sides of the ball in order to beat a team like the Eagles, because they're loaded at all those premier positions.
If we're focusing then on defense right now for, okay, this is what you need to figure out, where does George Pickens factor into all this for you, Ben? Because obviously he gets a franchise tag, but we know he would love to get signed and get a new deal. Does this drag on for a while? Does it become a saga that once again, after you saw it with CD, you saw it with Dak, and it drags and drags? Are we doing that again, and how much of a distraction could that be when you're trying to fix so many other holes?
If I'm the Cowboys and I want to get George Pickens back and he's my number one priority, get that out of the way to begin with. Get the money out of the way, get him locked in, don't give him a chance to go talk to other teams. Then you go and say, all right, we have X amount left. Let's put this into the D-line, this into the secondary, and hey, we've still got some money left to go get some guys in the draft or in free agency or whatever we want to do. So George Pickens was such a massive part of that offense last year. I think you saw how valuable he was when CeeDee Lamb missed those games, and he stepped up and really provided a spark for that offense in a security blanket for Dak outside when CeeDee wasn't in the line.